waking up. And I woke up. And so I'm here to tell you my story. I wrote a book about it. A lot of you have already had a copy signed, and that's amazing, thank you. But the reason I wrote the book is because in 1 week in November of 2020, what year are we? 23 now, so it was out last year. So it would be 2021. 2 different people wrote me emails on the verge of suicide. And they said to me, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself that you're laughing and you're having fun? One of them was a soldier of mine that had been through the same things that we have gone through in war. And she said, what are you doing knowing what we have done and knowing what we've been through, that you can get up in the morning and you're not falling apart? And I said, please don't kill yourself, because that's everything about that message made me think that she might not make it through the night. Because the message, not only was the message powerful, but it was also sent to me at 3:30 in the morning. So when a message like that is sent to you at 3:30 in the morning from somebody that you care about, your first response is, I want to get to you. But I was in Puerto Rico and she was in the United States. And I said, please don't kill yourself. It's going to take me a while to respond to you. I can't write you a text message, all right? But the answer is important. Let me buy myself a computer. So I went and I ordered a computer and I wrote her a book. And I responded to her 2.5 months later and I said, look, I have your answer for you. I wrote your book. Okay? So ultimately, this is my answer to the 2 women who wrote to me that week, one of which is a MILF who recently lost her husband, because that happened to me. And she found him in a lake behind her house. And it was just absolutely unexpected. And her life was shattered right there on the spot. And she just, how are you making it through? What happened to you? And I, one foot in front of the other, sweetheart, I don't have a quick answer for you. But I wrote you a book. And so this book that I wrote isn't just, look how amazing, she did these amazing things and she had this amazing life and she overcame these physical things. This book is a roadmap to how I'm not dead. To how 10 years ago I had the same loaded pistol that my father used to kill himself. I had it in my own mouth. And it's the map that I used to get here in front of you, standing and smiling with the energy that you felt this weekend, because some of you have seen me more than one time. And you've come up to me and said, wow, you're just happy. What's wrong? What's going on? You're just fun and happy and your energy's fun. It's not natural. It's a lot of work. It took a lot of work. And so what my whole story is it walks through, the important, the crazy things that happen to life, because it rains on everyone. The zen of dancing in the rain. Because everybody's life gets rained on. Becoming one with the storm, because we all have storms. Now, if I tell you I graduated in 2001, you can't tell that, right? You can't tell I'm 40, right? Tell me no, you cannot tell. No. That is the correct answer. No. Okay, let me ask you that question again. Can you tell that I'm 40?
No.
Hey, so I like this group. Okay. So, can you tell that I was paralyzed?
No.
Can you tell that I'm a combat wounded veteran?
No.
You might be able to tell them if the answer's right, right? But the bottom line is you can't tell anything on my face of what you'll read in this book. Can you look at me and see that any of what I just told you, any of it? No. So my book is like a slam in the face of empathy. Because every single one of us has had something that has made us cry, that has made us want to give up, that has made us look in the sky and go, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why did I lose this person or that person or the other situation? But the reality is we are all organic. What does that mean? We're of the earth. This life will end. And for some of us, it will end earlier than for others. For some of us, we'll learn these lessons a lot earlier than others. What happened with me is that I had the opportunity to see. I say opportunity because opportunities are missed by most because they're dressed up in overalls disguised as work. right? So they look like it's a whole lot of work in front of you, but what it really is an opportunity for you to learn to persevere, learn to be kinder to yourself, learn to take a different route, to be more semper gumby. That's what they say. Semper Fi is a military phrase for Marines. They say semper gumby. Do you guys, am I giving you my age? Does anybody remember Gumby?
Gumby.
No, raise your hand if you remember Gumby.
Gumby.
Okay. Well, Gumby was this like elastic taffy guy from like the 80s or 90s, and he like stretched. Okay, so semper Gumby, semper yogi. Okay, so always be flexible, right? And so, quick story of my life, in case you didn't catch that from the video. I graduated from here in 2001. I was 5th in my class. I was a really great track athlete. Okay? I was a distance runner and I loved it. And I got a full ride to the University of Chicago. And I was going to go there and I was going to study poli-sci, political science, and international relations. And that felt like what I should do. Because I was really good. I was a lawyer at heart. You know, I was really good at policy and I was really good at that stuff. But there was something about it that felt wrong. It felt awkward and it felt like I shouldn't necessarily go that path. And I can't tell you what it was just a feeling. And one day an Army recruiter came into here and they probably Founders Hall and they started talking to us about the Army and I said, man, you know, I don't know why, but it feels like I need to do that. And so I started looking for ways that I could get my education while I was doing that. And so I turned down a full ride to the top 10 poli-sci international relations school in the nation, and I went into the Army instead. Now, there was a lot of pushback for that. There were a lot of people that wanted to see me sit under a tree and write a book. And in my mind, I said, well, that's gonna happen. And it has happened, right? It's happened, right? Hey! But it didn't happen in the order that they wanted to happen for me. They figured I was gonna do that before college, but I didn't really have a story then. Everything was a little rough starting, but I didn't have a book. So I joined the Army. I became a cryptologic Chinese and Korean linguist. That sounds really fancy. So I learned these languages. What happened? I went to Iraq. That was interesting. I went to Afghanistan. I got blown up. 200-pound IED directly out of my truck. When I woke up, I had people pulling me out of a truck and screaming in my face, is that your blood? Is that your blood? Is that your blood? Whose blood is this? I don't know. I try to stand up, they throw me back down, stay down. Okay. After that, I'm shot 3 times through my back. In the middle of because in 2009, women weren't on the front lines, right? Never. We never saw combat. You come back from war, good girls don't go to war. You don't want to hear about a girl that did that thing. It's normal for a man to flip out, supposedly. You come back, you have PTSD, you have a flip out in the middle of the square, Times Square, you're shooting at pictures with your finger, being a little dramatic, but not at all, actually. And that's acceptable because he's seen some stuff. He's been to war. But a woman, that doesn't happen with us. That happens to us in the Times Square, and we're shooting at a pigeon with our finger, and she's just crazy. She needs to go take care of her kids. Take her kids. What is she doing? So nobody wants to talk about what girls do. Nobody wants to talk about what women do in the military, or women in combat. So you come back and it's a whole different jar of worms, a can of worms, a jar of beans. Somebody help that.
Both.
Both of those. So you come back, and that's what it's like. You come back, and I had a Purple Heart tags on my vehicle, and they asked me who my husband was with.
Wow.
They see me with dog tags. What veteran do you know? And it's not said to be insulting.
No,
It's just the culture. It is just natural to look at me and to go, you're in the military? If I don't have like the guns out, like suns out, guns out, you don't even look like an athlete. Right? You're in the military? So it's years of that. Years of that. You come back and you're just looking at people and you're going, you have no idea. You have no idea. Right? So you come back from war and I didn't want to keep going. I was getting emails and offers for jobs that were really, 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 really lucrative. I'm talking 6-figure jobs because I was a cryptologic linguist. So then what does that mean? I had a top secret SCI clearance. That's the top level security clearance you can have. So I knew a whole lot of secret squirrel stuff that I can still never talk about. And on the outside of the military, that's a very lucrative position. And the job is underground, and you don't get to see daylight, and you can't bring your phones inside, especially now with TikTok. You can't even own a TikTok account. You go down there, everything's secret, you can't talk about it on the outside, and then you go home and you live like what you're doing doesn't even exist, okay? And so they offered me these jobs, and I said, oh, sweethearts, no. I can't do that, because what happens if I dedicate, I had a lot of people arguing with me. Listen, if you just do 2 years of this job, you could travel the whole world off the $200, $300, $400 you'll have saved, or $400,000 you'll have saved up. You don't have to work anymore. And I said, well, yeah, that's great, but what happens if on day 364 of the year that I spend doing this, I'm standing on the sidewalk and here comes a bus and it knocks me down and there I'm dead. And then I go to the pearly gates and I'm going, well, what did you do in your last year of your life? Well, I feel like I wasted doing something I absolutely hated. With a mission that I didn't believe in. Hurting people, doing things that are against my very core values. And they said, well, I can't really fight with that. And people kind of left me alone. So what I did was I sold everything I owned, because they started to feel like it was more of a burden than it was a perk to life, to have these fancy, I had all the furniture, all the nice things. I had a grandfather clock that was shiny and beautiful, and I sold it all. And I moved into the back of my RAV4, and I drove to Alaska to become a river guide on the Balding Reserve. And they offered me $10 an hour to do this job. And when I looked for the job online, I found it was $10 an hour. And I said, that's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. I don't care how much you get paid. I want to get on a river and see 12-pound raptors tearing apart salmon right in front of my face. In front of the cathedral peaks, snow-capped mountains rising right out of the ocean. That's what I want to do. And I did it. And they almost didn't hire me because they said, people like you don't actually show up. People with a resume like yours, they don't come. They say they want to do this, and then somebody offers them some cash, and they go the other direction, because this isn't the same as that. This is labor. Like you're taking people on their vacation. You're not on vacation. I'm like, sweetheart, trust me. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And they hired me. And man, it was the best decision I had ever made in my life. How many of you people know people, or are people, who get up and jump for joy because they get to go to work? Right? Okay, so clap for that person. Because that is amazing. Because you know every day of their life they're living because wow, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm doing. And they're on their mission to do what they want to do, right? Okay, that being said, I go to Alaska. I have all these great years. Oh, amazing years. I'm starting to feel like, okay, I figured it out. I came back from war. I had some things going on, right? We all have things going on. And I needed to sort them out. So I realized that I was having reactions that weren't normal. I was getting really angry. I was really excited and beautiful and zen going to work. But then on this side of things, I was hating on everybody that wasn't doing the same thing I was doing. I was judgmental on everybody who wasn't dressing like I was dressing, or wasn't raised like I was raised, or didn't appreciate nature like I was appreciating nature. And I couldn't understand why these thoughts kept coming, why they kept pestering me, and why they kept insulting people. And I was trying to run them out because I've always been a runner. So I started just running, and I brought a voice recorder with me. Because who knows your own thoughts? You're the only one. Right? I can tell you I'm doing fantastic every day of my life, and I'm the only one that knows if I woke up crying. the only one that thought, oh man, I really don't want to do this today. Hello everyone, here I am. And she waves at me. You know, so it's so easy to put on a face and a fraud, or not a fraud, but a face, a facade is better than fraud. A facade for somebody. But if they're not okay, you're the only one that really knows it at the end of the day. And so I decided that that was something I needed to address, because you can't help me with that. You can't teach me that. You can't make me more comfortable with my own thoughts if you don't know what they are. If I'm over here angry about something you did to me yesterday and I don't tell you, what happens? I just stay angry and you don't know, right? So I wanted to understand my own thoughts, because that was what I felt was necessary. I need to become my own best friend. Because if not me, who? Who's going to be your best friend if you're not? Someone answer me. You got an idea? Who's going to do it if it's not you? Right? There's nobody out there that's going to do it. Nobody. Nobody will do it. And that's the beautiful thing about the milk, is that they might make you feel like you're going to get saved, but once you get out of the milk, you're not going to get saved by anybody. And so you need to start this process now. Now, yesterday. Getting to know you, who you actually are, what you actually want to do with your own life. Because nobody else actually knows that for you. We can all tell you, hey, this is the path. This is the path. This is the path. And if you're lying, if it's not in alignment with what you feel in your own values, that path is going to feel miserable. When I was a junior, had decided between my junior and senior year that my senior year, I wanted to play soccer. Who does that? Their senior year, you're going to change sports. Okay? So I went to go change sports. But nobody wanted me to change sports because I was a really good runner. So nobody wanted me to pick up soccer because I was just going to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. Right? So they're like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I fell under peer pressure and I ran cross country instead, and I won a lot. And I got hugs, accolades, high fives. Everybody's, wow, Odie is the best runner ever. And I was not happy with any of it because I wanted to play soccer the entire year. And that's such a basic example, but it applies to every single thing you do in life. You want to go to the military, someone convinces you that it's a bad idea. You go to this place. How many people, when they're older, say, man, I really had wanted to do that thing, but I didn't do it. Oh, I really wanted to do it, and I don't know what it would have been like. You get one life, right? And you get to choose your path through this life. And you're the only one that gets to choose it. As long as you stay out of the system, and you choose a way that's not hurting anyone, why should that be wrong? Ever. So, what I did, I sold my stuff, I went to Alaska. I became a river guide. Yeah, awesome. So at the end of that, I got chosen for a television show. And it's called 72 Hours. It was on TNT. They flew me to Fiji. I jumped out of a plane into a river. My kids saw the video. They were all excited about jumping out of helicopters now. That too. And so I went there, and then 3 days when I came back, suddenly I had symptoms that I had never felt before. And I immediately said, man, I think I have a parasite because things are biting me on the inside of my body and I can't see them. It has to be on the inside. I've always been strong, and I had a really hard time just standing in the customs line in the airport. And so when I went to the hospital, they rejected me 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, because I was 99 pounds in gray. I was complaining about a pain that was invisible. I was twitching. I was screaming in pain, and they assumed that I was a recovering drug addict that was looking for pain medication. So they kept sending me away because they can't see what was happening to my body, right? So on the 7th time, one of my female, my mother influences, who happens to not be here anymore, but she was here, my 7th grade math teacher here at the mill, saved my life when I was 29 years old in Phoenix. She took me to the hospital and she sat the doctor down and she had my list of symptoms. And she said, sit down and listen. And she started reading off the symptoms. Write down the symptoms. And the doctor wrote down the symptoms. And halfway through the list, he looked up in shock and he said, meningitis. And she said, I think so too. And so they whisked me away and they went and saved my life. They started giving me medication and it began my recovery. They told me you have a 50% chance of waking up. I don't think you're gonna walk again because of all the damage in your brain, but here you go. So I started physical therapy. I woke up and I started physical therapy. My first task was to lift my feet off the bed. Didn't happen. Then they told me, okay, change task. Wiggle your toes. I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and it didn't happen. I didn't feel anything, but I saw something. I saw my toe wiggle. And so when they put the blanket over and they left the room, I sat there and I cried for 20 minutes, sobbing. I could not even speak. Because there I was 29 years old, and they were telling me I was going to be in a nursing home for the rest of my life, or until further notice. In a diaper, not able to brush my own hair or feed myself. So, when I moved in from intensive care, I moved in. They said, okay, I sat down with my physical therapist and I said, okay, we need solid goals. We need solid dates, and I need reachable goals because I'm not going to be here for an indefinite amount of time. We're not doing that. I said, I'm giving myself 5 weeks. And she's like, you're crazy. Yes, clinically, that's why they pay me. And I said, 5 weeks. And I'm walking out of here. And she said, let's make a list of goals you want to hit. And we'll do as best as we can. And I said, okay, whatever, we're doing it. We're not doing as best as we can. I'm walking out of here. And it wasn't pretty. You saw the video. It was really Franken walking. It really wasn't pretty. It was ugly. There was a lot of poop involved. My kids like that part of the story. They're 4 and 5. It was like, I was in a diaper, you know, it's gnarly. But I walked out. Amen. Amen. The thing is, you see that video. I was in a diaper, and you see me laughing. You see me dancing. You see me joking. Because those are moments that you get to live. Those are the last moments. That was the last time I was going to get to live that moment. So if I was sad and just upset and just down, I'd be losing all of that time of my life to this negativity. And then you end up passing those months in the hospital as this horrible experience. So this moment right now at 12:16 and 3 seconds, right now, this moment right now, look at me, every single one of you. I want to meet all of your eyes. You too. This is the absolute youngest you are ever going to be in your entire life. This moment right here you're spending with me, right now. Today is the last time we get to do today. Tomorrow, once it passes, you don't get to go back. Yesterday, you're never going to see yesterday. That 5K, the 1 mile run that they did in the morning, the last time that's going to happen. Next year, there's another one, maybe. But yesterday already passed, right? So every moment that we get to choose how we react to what we're doing, we're spending the only real currency that we have, which is our time. Our time here is not guaranteed, and I don't know when it's going to end. If you had told me when I was 19 that I'd be paralyzed at 29, I would have insulted you. And I would have insulted you. I was hot-headed. You obviously don't know how strong I am. What you gonna tell me I'm paralyzed? That don't happen to me. Crazy. Go hang out with somebody who doesn't know, like you. You know? Obviously I didn't know. Right? So, fast forward. Here I am. I'm walking. Okay? So I decided I was gonna run again. Quickly, I was shown that I wasn't gonna run again very quickly. It wasn't gonna happen right now. I needed to take a big break because the pain plan management and exchange program for running is extreme for me. And I wasn't quite there yet. So what happened? I moved to Moab, Utah. Have you been there? Have you heard of it? Yeah? Mountain bike capital of the world. It's like Mars. Bright red rocks and big arches and this whole reflection that, yeah, you know what? If you fell off that mountain's gonna stay there Those rocks are gonna be there. They were there for millions of years before, they're gonna be there for millions of years after. We don't really make that much of an impression there. And it was just really a reflection of, wow, my struggle doesn't really mean anything to these rocks. You know what I'm saying? If I fall off this mountain on my journey up the hill, nothing here changes. And that's a little bit of a reflection to make us all a little bit more human, I think. Is that, you know what? If something happens to me, the world's gonna keep spinning. I can only hope to leave a huella, which is a footprint or an imprint, a little bit with the youth. And so, after I was finished recovering in Moab, I was there dancing. I've been a dance instructor luckily since before all of this happened. Out there, everything was kind of coming to an end. And if you pay attention to your surroundings and the things that you do, you'll feel when things come to an end. When it's time for you to choose another path. When it's time for a chapter to end. You know, like when you're watching a movie and it goes on for 3 hours and you're like, dude, they could have ended this at an hour and a half. Right? That's what happens when you push past that point. And you always feel it. Don't act like you don't feel it. You can feel it in relationships. You can feel it in your job. You can feel it in a track meet. You can feel it in something as basic as a dinner. Okay, now we're sitting here, Mom. Can we get up now? When it's time to move on, you take that hint and you move on. So I was there going, what am I going to do? Well, I'm leaving Moab. What should I do? I'm going to Puerto Rico. My whole life I've been feeling like I needed to go to Puerto Rico, now I'm going. So today, this week trip is my first time back to the United States in 6 years. What does that mean? My 4 and my 5-year-old, this is their first time in the United States. And so today, David and Audia both said, "Huh!" in the elevator, "Mommy, the floor's moving." Ah! Well, hold on. Hold on, it's gonna be okay. Because it's really, really exciting to see these things. Now, what happened when I went to Puerto Rico? Who knows what happened in 2017 in Puerto Rico?
Hurricane.
Maria. Hurricane Maria came through and destroyed everything I built. Everything. Destroyed the entire island. Took away all the fruit, all the farms, all the buildings that weren't concrete, gone. Just one night. You go to sleep, you wake up, you wait for the afternoon because you couldn't come out until a day and a half later. And trees are laying like you know that game like where you just jump out.
Pick up sticks.
Pick up sticks. Yo, trees were like that. They were just broken, uprooted, I can't even describe to you what it looked like. Go look at the videos. It was flooded. It was so horrible. And 2 days later I found out I was pregnant. And there was no electricity. There was no communication to even the main island for a month. So I'm on a 24-mile island off the coast of Puerto Rico. I'm not on the big island, okay? So boats couldn't get there, planes couldn't get there, we're there, and we can't do anything. So when my baby was born premature, there was no hospital. There was no hospital to take him to. So they had to fly me to the main island. What happens? We get to the main island, I get he's in NICU, which is neonatal intensive care unit, for a full month. I take care of him every day. I'm going in to see him. I end up taking him home. We begin to create our home together because I've met the love of my life. Suddenly I find out that I'm pregnant again. 4 months into it, I have a 7.5-month-old, don't do the math. Everybody chuckles. And then he's walking down the street and he has a heart attack. And boom, my life changes. And in that moment, I become a combat wounded, widowed, pregnant mother of a 7.5-month-old, homeless, heartbroken woman. I can't turn off the tears no matter how much I tried to look at you straight up and talk to you. The tears were just rolling. I could talk to you without sniffling, but the tears would just come out in the middle of every conversation I had with anyone, doing anything, because it was so hard. It was harder than all of the other things. All of it. So, there I am, and everything in a moment moment like that makes you want to quit. Everything about that moment made me want to stop. It's different to have nobody to talk to and to not want to talk to anybody. Those are different. A lot of people like to say, oh, if you're feeling suicidal, remember, I'm here to talk to you. Call me. That's not what's going to happen. Nobody's calling you. Because it's different. We know we have people to call. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't want to talk to you. There's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to talk to about stuff like this. You understand? When you're in that deep, dark of a hole, who do you share that with? You don't. And if you're not your own best friend, who can you share it with? Not even with yourself. And if you haven't done this work about getting to know who you are and why you react the way you react, what can you do? So what I did was, I wrote it. I wrote out the path that I took. And I explained how I'm here and smiling to you after all of this has happened to me. After all of this craziness has happened to me, how I can be here smiling easily with you and recognize that, yes, this happens to everyone. Every one of us is going to lose our lives. And I know that sounds all dreary and blah, 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 but the reality is it's true. We are organic, and we will again become part of this earth. And everybody around us that we know, our animals, our people, our everything, will also do the same. And this building, if something happens and nobody else is on earth again, the earth will take over this building too. That is true. So, while you are here, get to know yourself. Maybe take a little path from my book and get a little inspiration to spend some time with yourself, to understand. Because we like to act like kids need to just follow rules and everything's as easy as a one-liner meme on social media. Yeah, look, just let all the bad stuff go and focus on the good. What does that mean? What does that mean? Leave your problems at the door. Come in here positively. Huh? How? There's never a step-by-step, hey, this is how you do this. Fix your attitude. How? How? How do you want me to fix my attitude? What does that even mean to you? Fix my attitude about something that I don't want to do to begin with. Well, I'm supposed to just smile. So am I just covering stuff up, or am I genuinely feeling better about this? It's I don't know, what do you guys think? How do you fix your attitude? Is there a quick answer to that? No, there's no quick answer to that. The process is ugly, actually. Understanding why you react to something the way you react to. It could be something that happened to you at 1 or 7 years old. You know, something that you learned from your great-grandfather. You don't know these things until you get to know yourself. Nobody can tell you why you act like that. But we like to act like we know. All right, you're not supposed to act like that. Act like this. Well, okay, but in my culture, for 100 years, we did it this way. And history says that people actually do it that way. And there's no real right or wrong if I'm not hurting you. How can I tell you that what you're doing is wrong for your own healing? If you have to choose. So the example that I use in my book is that I chose to get rid of all of my things and start over. And I left society in one way. Now my father, on the other hand, about 5 weeks before I went on this TV show and then got paralyzed, my father killed himself. He killed himself. It was horrible. He also left society from a different route. So how can I look at that and decide that what he did was wrong if I had done the exact same thing? So accepting his decision as his own decision was one of my major goals. Was if I'm striving to accept his decision as his decision, how can I be offended by anything that anybody else does? If something that severe, to leave this whole earth, was his choice, and he did that to help himself, to ease his pain, then if somebody does something for themselves to heal that has to do with traveling or being mean or whatever, how can I be offended by any of that? If you're trying to understand somebody's pain, and you think about the times that you've protected yourself, Sometimes you protect yourself, sometimes it comes off to other people that you're being mean, right? Because you can't be open to everyone. Sometimes you have to be the most important person to you because you have become your own best friend. So, that being said, that is my book, The Zen of Dancing in the Ring. Because when you practice dancing through traumas and dancing through these scenarios enough, eventually it becomes an internal process, and eventually it becomes subconscious, and you find yourself dancing even through these really, really traumatic times, and almost floating. Although they hurt, you can still find those pockets of peace. And there's still those pockets of peace in the middle of all of it. And stand up again, because you can. No, I'm not joking. Stand up again.
Oh, good.
I'm not joking. Stand up on your two legs because you can.
It's hard.
Reach up to the sky because you can. Reach up and stretch it out because you can, because I'm running out of time. Okay? Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.